All right, folks, here we are at TPUSA's conference, AmFest 2025 here in Phoenix, Arizona. Truth and Liberty, and I tell you, this place is buzzing, as I said before. But I'm here with Steve Clifton, a good friend who works with one of my favorite organizations in the entire country, LikeWise Academy. Steve, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah,
Great to be here with you.
Good to see you again. We actually met in Oklahoma City at the state capitol there when the governor was signing a bill that into law that was going to authorize off-campus religious instruction in Oklahoma. And so it was good to meet there, and that whole thing is going all over the country now.
It has, yeah. That was one of 6 legislative wins we've had in the last 2 years where the language changed to give the rights back to the parents who want to see their kids given the opportunity to have their release time programming and gospel presentation off school property.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, tell us what is LikeWise.
Yeah, so we provide Bible education to public school students during school hours. So kids are released from the public school, they go off property, oftentimes to a church, come back to the school right in the middle of the school day.
Well, that sort of blows the minds of people who think you can't get God in schools. You're actually, if I understand, you send a bus in some cases.
About 80% of the time, those kids are on a bus. We are serving over 1,000 schools this year in 35 states. So you think about 800 of those schools are being served with a van, a bus of some kind, often a little red bus.
Yeah, I don't have one with me.
You know what? I've got one with me.
You got one?
Right here.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's see it.
I got it in a holster.
There it is.
There.
All right. So you see that? The little red LikeWise bus, although that's not a little one, that's a big bus.
Yeah.
But very cool.
You can have that.
Oh, okay, thanks. It's a stress reliever.
It's a squishy bus is what we call it.
So you send a bus or other transportation, pick up the kids, they go off campus, they hear the Bible, they have opportunity to accept Christ, get discipled in the faith, and then they go back to school and they're a light inside the public school.
Yeah, we are approaching 60,000 kids being served. About half of those, based on our entry surveys, don't go to church. So I like to think we're creating 60,000 evangelists. They're coming back to school, they're inviting their friends to come. And the stories we hear on a regular basis, they're going home and saying, Mom, Dad, why don't we go to church? And so those families are getting connected to the local church, and they're seeing their lives change. They're getting baptized. They're giving their lives to Christ, and they're getting involved. So we're very excited about that.
Well, Steve, so many Americans would probably react, well, like, how could you guys get away with this? I thought this was unconstitutional. But in fact, there's a United States Supreme Court case all the way from 1952.
That's right.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, Zorich versus Clausen did exactly that. So the Supreme Court ruled that it is constitutional if it's off-school property, privately funded, and parent permitted. It's perfectly legal for this to happen right in the middle of the school day.
Oh, that's amazing. So what else is happening? You guys are just growing and blowing. I think you're fighting back in the state of Washington. You want to tell us about that?
As you can imagine, there are some people out there that don't like what we're doing. The enemy's at work, and specifically in the state of Washington, one particular school district has been very discriminatory against us. They basically have applied a lot of restrictions on the program that's there serving over 80 kids, and they're forcing the parents to sign a permission slip every week to participate, as opposed to other programs at the school that you sign it once a year. They're asking the programs to send things like Bibles and other curriculum items back to the school in sealed envelopes, as if they're somehow dangerous in nature.
Like they're contaminated.
And they've been very vocal about their animus towards us, calling us things like Christian nationalists and white supremacists, and just terrible things that just are not true.
Wow. So just to be clear, you don't take kids unless you have parental consent, right?
That's correct. Totally optional.
Yeah.
So
the places excuse me, what am I trying to say? The programs where you have this going on, These are parent-led and driven, and there's training and other precautions for student safety.
Absolutely. So we like to see at least 3 churches involved in the programs locally, and so a lot of the folks that are part of that church, lay people, they come alongside one another, and they get trained up and background checked and trained to go serve these schools in a very specific way, spreading the good news of Jesus. And so yeah, they're fully vetted and trained and equipped to do so.
So exciting. So if somebody's watching this and they want to know, oh my gosh, my school district needs this, I want to see this in my area, what do they need to do?
Yeah, they go to LikeWise.org. We've got every school in the nation available there. Sign the list. Perhaps one of your schools nearby are already being served by LikeWise. You can see how you can get involved, volunteer, enroll your student. You can also sponsor a student there and contribute financially to support the cause.
Yeah, and you guys are growing like gangbusters. I remember just a few years ago you had a goal of maybe reaching 25 new districts.
That's right.
And then you busted that like in no time, and now you're over 1,000.
Yeah, we just started 6 years ago, and we had some modest goals to start. We wanted to see 25 schools served by 2025, and by year 2 we were already serving 36 schools. And so we said we're terrible at setting goals. We set a new goal of 1,000 schools by next fall of 2026. And praise the Lord, we're already outpacing that. We're going to be serving over 1,000 schools just this school year.
Yeah, that is so great. All right. And so people can support your work. Let's say they donate?
They can, absolutely.
Yeah. And maybe even subscribe. You probably have an email that keeps them updated.
Yes, you can sign the list on LikeWise.org. We will add your name to the newsletter list, and you can donate there. You can sponsor a student. If you're passionate about religious freedom, this incident that's happening in Everett, Washington, we're working with First Liberty. Unfortunately, through litigation, we tried to be, cooperative with them as much as we could and ask them to maybe make some concessions, and they weren't able to do that.
Yeah.
So we've actually established a religious freedom fund as well. So if you go to LikeWise.org/stand, you can find that religious freedom fund and stand with us to support religious freedom in that way as well.
Yeah, that's really important, really important. Well, Steve, thanks for coming on Truth and Liberty.
Thanks for
it's
having
great
me.
seeing you
It's
here.
good seeing you again.
And say hi to everybody at LikeWise.
We'll do that. Thank you so
blessings.
much.